the hospital decided to produce a video record of your care to send.
I think, yeah.
To
I
send
think the
back
idea.
home. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the idea behind the video was sort of a training, an awareness kind of thing, instruction, but also kind of like to sort of blunt the impact of my encounter or their encounter, initial first encounter with me, so to speak.
Well, I was just
the video showed.
Yeah, I just was going to slip in, Jojo, that in case someone's watching this who hasn't read the book, in preparation for your return to Chuk, they produced a video that showed some of the challenges and self-care issues that in turn was sent to Xavier High School to be shown, I guess, to some of their select staff. But somehow your family members got included in this thing. And I was just wondering if maybe you could share a little from the cultural point of view or from your parents' point of view of how did they see this thing?
Yeah, my parents were not there, I think, but they had invited some of my uncles and aunties from the village where I had stayed to come up to Xavier High School to view this video. And that time when the VHS was beta was big, and so they were actually they said, come in, maybe just to see him, so that you don't get too freaked out or something. And I mean, these are folks who last saw me as this precocious little 15-year-old guy jumping around and running and doing all kinds of other things that every full-bodied 15-year-old kid would do on the island. And then all of a sudden they see me in this tremendously, drastically challenged state of being physically, that I could barely move, and I would move my arms funny in a way, or but they I guess the intention, I don't know if it made the point, or it worked too well in a way that it gives them the full idea of what you're going to expect when you see Jojo, that this is what he looks like, but these are the things that we're going to do to we can do to help him. But of course, when you're in a hospital, and every spinal cord injury person knows this, that every training that you get in the hospital is just training that some therapists design from common practice, what they call it, best practice, right? Every individual who has physical challenge has his own or our own way of screwing those up, because we have our own way of figuring things out that is not quite the same as 1, 2, 3, step 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes we would skip 2 or 3 and we just throw ourselves in bed. That's the easiest way when you're drunk, But anyways, but I guess the idea is to show, okay, in order for Jojo to eat, this is the thing. These are the steps. In order for him to take a shower, these are the steps you do to physically assist him to take a shower. But the videotape just sort of kind of took a life of its own. It took a life of its own in terms of how the family members absorbed it, and quite honestly, they were very affected by it. One of my uncles was, kind of like almost fainting, and my aunties were crying, and then And of course, those culturally sensitive ways that they would display that emotion. Um, I mean, cultural ways of displaying emotion, of course, is to cry. When you see somebody who's, who's quote unquote suffering. So
They,
they see it as suffering. The guys who made the videotape see it as strategies for abilities. So they don't quite see it the same way.
well, then wasn't
Therefore,
it
we have,
also colored by the fact that they couldn't figure out why you would be going back to school?
yeah, and that's sort of kind of like, so if he's in this state of being, then why are we bringing him back here to go to school? And that's when it started, this thing about like, oh my gosh, we thought that it means that he could not just stand up, that we just need to hold his hand. This is crazy, the way they were, perceiving this. Like, if he is this disabled, what's the point of having him coming in to go to school? So that kind of like, you know, energized that thinking back home that, maybe you should just give up this idea of going back to school or coming back to school at Xavier and just come all the way out to the island.
Well, this
And
also, perhaps you could explain to anyone who read this section of the book of how you were received at the airport.
yeah.
Um, Hundreds of people showed up because they'd heard on the radio that you were arriving, and they
Yeah.
were in mourning.
Yes. That's what happened when you see somebody come back from a long travel and they are in bad shape. They don't necessarily see this as a part of a rehabilitation process, that he is on his way to meeting the goals of quote unquote recovery to meet a certain outcome. That's a very Western way of looking at it. They see this, my relatives see this as, you know, oh my God, poor guy, he went away, he got hurt, went away, now here he is, he's in severely bad shape. So how else are you going to react to that? But to wail and cry and show emotional, empathy, or
Before
and
we,
of course a lot of people just were just curious.
yeah, I can see that too.